Subscribe.
We'll highlight all that. Don't you worry.
Just
But of
saying,
course,
you gotta remind people.
Subscribe right now.
Subscribe.
Subscribe. Of course.
Philadelphia, baby, you're gonna love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
It is a little unsettling, but honestly, you know what? It's one of my core skills. It's that, and I do a mean Patrick Starr. The inner mechanisms of my mind are an enigma. Finland. What's that one line he has?
Why'd you start recording? Like,
is mayonnaise an instrument? No,
Okay.
Patrick, mayonnaise is not an instrument.
okay, you and I need to have this talk now. You need to tell me when you're going to start recording.
No, because it makes things more fun when we cold open like this and can just spew random shit.
Sure.
Makes for more, as they say in the industry, production value, I think.
Get in the Hole is brought to you by PHI Apparel Company, our incredible merch partners. PHI Apparel Co. provides unique designs and high-quality clothing from t-shirts to hoodies for every golfer around. With their original designs for all, there's no doubt you'll stand out on the course, the driving range, or at the 19th hole. Go to phiapparel.co and use code UNDERGROUND at checkout for 10% off any order. That's code UNDERGROUND at phiapparel.co and grab exclusive Get in the Hole podcast merch and support your favorite golfers.
Hello, friends. Welcome in to Get in the Hole here with Steve McAvoy, Ben Pirro, here with you today live from the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network, right from the Underground on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you can get a hold of us, bringing you all the news, analysis, betting tips from across the golfing world. We got a lot to discuss today as Davis Riley earns his second victory on the PGA Tour, his first one being a little bit of a Mickey Mouse win. So we'll call it his first big-time win on the PGA Tour circuit. Richard Bland, in his first ever PGA Championship start, earns a victory. And, of course, a lot more news as we lead up to the RBC Canadian Open, with some news as well from LIV and the LPGA Tour to boot, probably presented by some of the best sponsors in the biz, including our friends Tomahawk Shades, the best small mesh eyewear in the shades industry, founded on Long Island, rep by some of the biggest personalities in sports, including Chris Hogan, Kyle Harrison, John Jay, and Paige Sporanic. Tomahawk Shades is guaranteed to keep you looking fresh from the first hole to the 18th green. I had a 6:30 a.m. tee time. Sun was rising, and I looked so good in my Tomahawk Shades out over at Timber Point. Be sure to head to TomahawkShades.com or download the Tomahawk Shades app on the App Store or Google Play Store and browse their selections of sunglasses, blue light plus glasses, and prescription lenses. And be sure to use code USP for 25% off your next order. Again, code USP for 25% off your next order at TomahawkShades.com or the Tomahawk Shades app. Once again, here on a Monday, Steve McAvoy. You can find me on social media at Real Steve McAvoy, Twitter and Instagram. Of course, you can find Ben on Instagram at BC Pirro. Ben, welcome in. How are you feeling? How was last week with KB? I'm really sad that I missed all the chatter.
You know, honestly, it was so much fun. You should start missing more often. Anyway. I
don't mind more vacation. I don't mind it.
I mean, you almost missed today, apparently, too. But
well, I didn't. It's these holidays that land on Mondays always screw me up. I'm always getting caught out in the open for some reason.
Yeah. Today I'm on my way to the gym, and Steve texts me at 9 a.m. and he's like, "Hey, I have a barbecue to go to." I'm just like, what a fucking surprise.
Sorry, I haven't seen Judy in 2 weeks.
That's fine. I don't know who Judy is, but that's
my mom.
Okay. I'm happy you got to see Judy, but
little heads up. I know.
Talk about communication. Communication's very important.
I was also so hammered last night.
Yeah, you were so hammered, but you had a 6:30 a.m. tee time today at Timber Point.
No, that was yesterday.
Who'd you play with?
My friend Grant and my friend Sean and Matt. It was not great.
Not surprising.
The morning was just tough. I shot a flat 100. Like, it was not good at all. What happened was, what? Yeah. First of all, like, my game is actually rounding out really well, but I'm finding myself more often than not at this point, my approach shots, I'm constantly missing. And it's not even a matter of like mishitting it, but I'm just not clubbing up enough, I think, to support my own landing on the green. I'm always short, or when I do end up missing, I obviously miss a little right. And then my chipping game is just so bad. If I can find myself on the green, I would probably knock down at least 6 or 7 strokes. I also had a couple of really bad sculled shots that just totally screwed me up on a few holes. But did make out of there. The front 9, I shot really a tale of two halves. I shot a front 9 54 and a back 9 46. So I went par, bogey, par to finish my round. So like the back 9 was great. The front 9 just wasn't that good.
Okay. Well, I think it's safe to say we have our 3rd ever enrollee at the Ben Pirro School of Golf. You, Johnny, and my dad.
Oh God. What a cast! What a cast of characters!
I know. Yeah,
John's a lost cause, though. I'm convinced that John, you can try and teach Johnny anything. I don't know if it's gonna work.
I could try to teach you anything. It's not gonna work. Like, I played with John, and he was like, he was talking about how he's like so good with his yellow ball, which
he plays yellow balls.
He had one yellow ball, and he basically on the first hole that we played together, we teed off because he joined me on the back 9. I hit driver like 7-iron into this par 5. He hits driver so far right, it almost goes out of bounds. Finds it in the fescue, hacks it out, pitches it to like 4 feet from like 50 yards, makes the putt. And he starts like talking shit to me. And I was like, dude, I have like 25 feet for eagle right now. Like, what? And then like several holes later, he just cold tops this ball. Just literally, you know how like the base of a tree can have like a lot of like fluffy kind of weeds and grass.
Yeah.
Or whatever. This ball rolled right in there, and he looked for it, couldn't find it. He's like, dude, I always find this ball. And he just tops it right in front of a tree. And
you know, it's the most deflating feeling. I've had a lot of really bad shots in golf, but the worst is it was a long par 5. I had like just missed the green, just missed the fairway off the tee. I'm in the second cut of rough, and what felt like an absolutely perfect 3-wood. I lined it, but the fescue was so high that it went all of 20 feet. Like you hit a ball and it feels so great, but it doesn't even even if you top it and it rolls out 100 yards, fine, whatever. At least I'm progressing up the fairway. This was just like the second it hit grass, it died, and I'm like, oh fuck me. It was the worst feeling on earth. So deflating. But there's a peak into my horrible golf career. I've already posted 3 rounds already. Hopefully, going to get my handicap in the next couple of rounds for the season. So we'll see where I'm at. But as of right now, it's not looking great. The 100 though certainly sandbagged me a little bit. I want to start the show though on a bit of a more somber note, as we're already 8 minutes in. I think we got a lot of laughs in already, but. I really don't know where to start this, but unfortunately, for those of you who have not been keeping track on the PGA Tour circuit for the last couple of weeks, the golf community is mourning a major loss. No matter who it is, young, old, famous or not, big time golfer, major champion, possibly even someone who's never won a tournament. Whenever you lose somebody that's a part of your family, it's a big loss to everybody. And unfortunately, Grayson Murray, at the age of 30 years old, took his own life Friday morning. We learned the news on Saturday morning and have been it's been circling golf circles ever since as we record here now on a Monday, and it's still being talked about. We heard news from Jay Monahan offered to suspend the Charles Schwab Challenge. The family of Grayson said they wanted to continue. They held a moment of silence both on the Korn Ferry Tour and the PGA Tour in order to honor him. If you remember from back in January, Grayson Murray won in a playoff at the Sony Open. Had a terrific 30-foot putt to lock in his playoff chances, and then basically did it again on the 18th hole at Wiley Country Club. Two-time PGA Tour winner, won at the Barbasol back in 2017, earned his second win at the Sony, but unfortunately had a handful of bouts with anxiety, depression, and was a recovering alcoholic at the time of his at the time of his death. No news yet has come out as to what exactly led him to this point, but what I do know is that after playing 16 holes at Colonial, he withdrew from the event. At the time, he was 2 under par. His playing partner, Peter Malnati, finished up his round, went to officials and said, can someone check on him? He seemed frustrated, out of sorts, did not look like himself, and unfortunately, the following morning, took his own life. So I wanted to open the show up for about 15 minutes and just kind of talk about the aspect of mental health and how important it is. And I know you and I have talked about it in the past with your own struggles, and I would love to hear your perspective on this as someone who is a professional and B has had those types of issues when it came to golf that has led you to where you are. And then just kind of talk about it more in terms of the humanity of it, because at the end of the day, we're all people. And no matter how much personally you get on yourself or others get on you, or you don't believe you are X, Y, and Z compared to somebody else, we all matter. And everyone should be told something nice to both someone you love and to someone you don't know. As Harry Higgs put it after he had won his latest event, he said that every single day is a blessing and you should be able to approach anybody and just be nice to them. Why is it that we can't just be nice to everybody? So with that being said, I don't want to tangent very much, but I want to get your take on the whole situation, then what your career has been like with your own mental health.
Yeah. I think, it's safe to say Grayson was loved and respected. Not just, he was loved by his family, and he was loved by his peers as well. He was, just from looking at it from the golf perspective, I mean, he was an incredibly talented golfer. And I think he played at 3 different schools and when he was in college. And I think he graduated from Arizona State, but he might've gone to Wake Forest at the start of his career. And I believe it was the coach there that said of all the guys, he was the most talented one on the team. He had a lot of talent, obviously. I had asked people who had competed, with Grayson on the Korn Ferry Tour. And they had said, he's really a great guy. He's really, really a great guy. And it's a shame because I think everyone struggles with something every single day. And for everyone struggles with something every single day, and we just try to struggle better.
Yeah.
And for him, he kind of, went down kind of a dark path with alcohol. And I know many people who have demons with that. I know many people who have had demons when it comes to substance abuse with drugs and prescription drugs or street drugs or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And those are incredibly difficult battles to face. And it's incredibly difficult and ugly when you have to look yourself in the mirror and, and when you, as someone who struggles themselves with mental health, I think, it never goes away. It's just like how someone, when they're an alcoholic, they're in recovery.
Yeah.
You're always going to be in recovery, though. You don't just not be an alcoholic anymore. You have to battle those demons every single day. And with mental health, it's no different, And so, I understand like there are ways you can change your mind through meditation and stuff like that. But when you struggle with depression, anxiety, whatever it is, it's really because from my understanding, there's a chemical imbalance in the brain, and it's just something you're born with, really,
Yeah.
from my understanding. And I'm not a doctor. I was so excited when he won the Sony because I've always resonated with people who have had to go through a lot to get to a certain point and become successful. It's great to see when people are successful for sure, but I think society in general, they always gravitate towards someone who has really had to go through a lot of shit to get to a certain spot, and whether that's mental health, substance abuse, parents getting divorced, maybe you never met your dad, whatever it is. It's, those people are so relatable. And Grayson was very, very
Yeah.
relatable, and it's a shame he's not here anymore because he's really a great guy. And the people I spoke to who competed against him on Corn Ferry, they had nothing but great things to say about him. And, I didn't know Grayson personally, obviously, but my mutual friends had nothing but great things to say. And, I think we lost a great ambassador to the game for sure. And when we watch professional athletes, right? The ones that are relatable to the consumer, to like the regular everyday person, those are the ones that we root the hardest for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, you don't really, you root for guys that have had it, quote unquote, easier growing up per se, even though everyone has to go through their own shit. But, they're not as relatable, and when someone goes through something as difficult as what Grayson had to go through, or, like even like, Tiger, because, back when Tiger was growing up, racism is an issue now, and it was back then as well. And
Yeah.
he didn't have the same opportunities. And so, Tiger really, he was very relatable to a lot of people because they struggled with that. They struggled with the race aspect. And, I always hope that people who, if you are struggling, obviously, you always want them to go get help. And you don't want them, you want whatever coping mechanisms they have to be healthy ones, and, I know so many people who just don't have healthy coping mechanisms, and it's scary. Like when they're your friends and you hear, and they tell you, the things that they do, it's fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
And, I just, I hope that, Grayson, he's not suffering anymore. And, I think Grayson is, he's in heaven now, and that's just, that's my faith. That's what I believe in. And I think everybody still wishes that he were here. And so, but he's no longer struggling,
Yeah. And I think it's there's three things that I've taken from this, and one of them is a personal story. Actually, the other two are. I'll start with those. The idea that, again, everyone's human, and no matter, like, we can put athletes on a pedestal all we want. People look at some athletes and say they are the gods. We look at Tom Brady and LeBron James and Tiger Woods, and we glorify them as the greatest people ever. But at the end of the day, everyone's fought a demon in their life. And Grayson Murray's coach, Todd Kegel, mentioned it after his death. He said that throughout his whole life, he had suffered demons. When he was 17 years old and started coaching Grayson, he even said it. Webb Simpson had a charity event. Grayson Murray was the first ever winner, and afterwards, Grayson had said, like, it's such a great feeling to win, but I don't feel satisfied. I don't feel good, and it's because he dealt with depression, and just no matter how good you were at any moment, you were always off. And so this kind of segues in. Friend of mine, actually my brother, his best friend in high school last year, and I don't want to, for respect of the family, I don't want to dig deep into details, but he had his issues with depression and anxiety, and had some mental health bouts throughout high school. And unfortunately, my brother is a rising sophomore in college now, but second week of school, on the train going to high school, they get off. He picks up the phone and says, "Oh, hey, I have to leave. Like, my grandpa's sick." And unfortunately, a half hour later, jumped off a 4-story building at the train station. My brother was the last person to see him. Just said, "Hey, like, do you need me to go with you?" "No, I'm good." Like, you never know what someone's dealing with and what they're going through until it's too late, which is really just the unfortunate and horrible part of this. And as having to watch my brother hold a casket at 18 years old, I was like, holy shit. First of all, the feeling that you have as someone who I had known the kid in passing. I had talked to him a little bit. I saw him at the house every now and then. But the idea of going to a church with 4,000 people, most of which were people that I went to high school with, because they were all brothers of kids who were in that class, and then just the outpouring of emotion, it showed that everyone's loved, no matter how much those people who do think that they suffer with depression, no matter how much they think they aren't loved, they are. I think that's the biggest thing. Just to let people know how important they are and how special they are to somebody. And I heard a great speech. This was years ago. A commencement speech at the University of Texas, and the guy had said, if you could change the life of just 10 people, and those 10 could change the lives of another 10, another 10, and another 10, then by 8 decades, 8 generations of people, we would have changed the lives of every person in the world. All it takes is 10 people. I could probably count on my fingers the amount of lives that I've changed, and this is not even trying to be selfish, but the idea that I have had a lasting impact on my fiance's life, on multiple friends' lives. The fact that it's as simple as keeping tabs and saying hello and being polite and just being there for somebody, listening to them when they have a problem, it goes so far.
Mm-hmm.
So I wish everybody in Grayson's family the absolute best. I feel so bad for his family. I feel horrible for his coaches, his friends, his loved ones, everyone that's involved in this, because no one deserves to have to go through a situation like this, nor did he. And that's the other part. You're right. He's not suffering anymore, which is the most important thing. I remember, not mental health related, but my grandfather was dying at the age of 75, and he had kidney failure, went into the hospital starting November of 2015. He died in May. 6 months of just agonizing. Every month he looked worse and worse and worse as he gone. And at some point I was like, when are you just going to pull the plug? Because no one should suffer, whether it be mentally, physically, whatever it is. When you're at a point that you're ready to go, you should go. And I don't condone suicide. I don't think it's the right way to go. But at the very least, I cannot judge the person that commits it, because it takes a lot of balls to do that. So I give Grayson Murray a lot of credit, because I would never have the ability to mentally put myself through that and do it.
Yeah, I remember when I was in college at Xavier, and I'm not going to, obviously I will not name names.
Yeah.
We had a Xavier University, they're great with the support that they give, not just their not just the athletes that are there, but also just like the regular students.
Yeah.
Just from a mental health perspective, it really is something that they deeply care about, and that's one of the reasons why I hold that university so highly. It's just that's why I think of that university so highly, because they take great care of their students. And I remember when I was, I think I was a junior, and we had the saying, like, it's okay to not be okay. It was
Yeah.
kind of like one of those kind of talks. And I remember like teammates of mine were just like ripping the fact that we had to go to this thing. And they were just like, this is so stupid. Like, it's pretty simple, this is, hey guys, it's okay to not be okay. That's it. And it made any sort of like little bit of respect that I had for them just disappear. And because I think that is such naive isn't even the right word. It's such an inconsiderate way to view that topic, because you don't know who's struggling with that, and I just, for a while there was this stigma where it's like, if you have depression, you have anxiety, you're weak, you're not supposed to show emotion, and you're supposed to be tough. You're just supposed to like suck it up and get through it. Well, you know what? Like that's not the way to go. That's not, some people need counseling, and in my opinion, I think everyone, whether you have a mental illness or not, everyone should go to counseling, because it just makes you feel better, and the whole stigma of, and I remember going to this, like, they had so many they had a lot of different student athletes up on stage who were willing to talk about the things that they went through. Like, some, it pretty like graphic stuff.
Yeah.
Really, it really was. And I think like the people who sit there and they view mental health as like, well, like, if you have this issue, then you're just weak. Like, those people need to grow up, and they need to open their eyes, because it's something, and I don't know what the statistics are, it affects so many different people, and not just athletes, regular normal people who work corporate jobs, 9-to-5 jobs. It affects everyone. And if you're one of the people that isn't affected by depression, anxiety, or any other mental illness, like, you probably know someone who deals with it. There's a chance that you don't even know that they're dealing with it either. And I think that, it's a lot easier said than done, because sometimes, like, you encounter people and they just make you want to lose your mind because they just drive you insane. But like, I'll never forget Max Kellerman when he was on ESPN. He said, everyone is struggling with the battle you know nothing about. Be kind always.
Yeah.
And I think, look, I've struggled with being kind all the time, for sure.
Like,
yeah, everyone has. But, I think in my opinion, and I'm not, look, I'm not many people know this. I'm very much like a religious person. I pray every morning. I pray every night. I pray about the people who I care about a lot. I always thank God that I have another day. I believe that the hardest battles are given to you because whether it's God or the universe that you believe in, whatever you believe in, it's because you're the one that's strongest enough to handle it.
Absolutely. 100%. I agree with you. And Ben, thank you. I don't want to get us too upset about things. I want to be able to get us out, but at the same time, this is so important to discuss. I do want to give a couple of facts and figures for those that are in a mental health state and want to get help. First of all, if you do have any thoughts of suicide or mental health, the crisis hotline is there for you. Just dial 988 across the country. It's a free service hotline, much like 911. You're able to get any help that you do need. And then, of course, there are other additional hotlines for other mental or physical health issues, including, of course, alcoholism, gambling, and anything else that you could think of. 21% of adults are experiencing some sort of mental illness. It's about 50 million Americans. Of those, 15% adults have a substance use disorder and have had it in the past year, 93% of which do not seek treatment, which goes to show to you how obscene these numbers can actually be. Only 4.8% of adults report serious thoughts of suicide. That's over 12.1 million adults, but the number of mental health cases are upwards of 50, and that's only in America. 11% of adults who are identified with 2 or more races reported serious thoughts of suicide. 16% of youth have suffered at least one major depressive episode in the past year. It's over 2.7 million children across the world. 55% of adults with a mental illness receive no treatment at all, about 28%, over half. 11% of adults with a mental illness are uninsured, which is another drastic problem in America. 60% of youth with major depression do not receive mental health treatment, even more than their adult counterparts. In the U.S., there are 350 individuals for every one mental health provider. So these numbers show you, A, the imbalance in our country with the need to get people the services, the lack of education, and the heavier need for support of these individuals. The incredible credit to those mental health providers who are working to help us. Because at the end of the day, again, 350 people for every one person is a challenge. But like you said, God's strongest fighters are the ones that are given some of these challenges. And to put it into perspective, at least from a golf standpoint, Grayson Murray was very vocal about his alcoholism. He had come out and talked a lot about it, particularly in the last 6 months. He got guidance from Chris Kirk, another guy who was battling the same thing. And it almost seemed like destiny that the first week of the PGA Tour calendar happened to have just been the 2 most recent cases of recovering alcoholics who were able to come out and share their stories, and Chris Kirk and Grayson Murray to win those events and show that, again, like, you can overcome anything. And I think when it comes to anybody, like we said, like Tiger Woods battled through racism, or LeBron James, as we talk about diversity and how it could be seen or unseen diversity. It's one of the things we talked about in college a lot at my school. It was a very Caucasian school, but we really kind of focused in on be yourself. It's okay to not be normal kind of thing. And you can have impediments in your life like socioeconomic status, race, upbringing, whatever it might be. Mental health, again, being one of them. Everyone has something. LeBron James battled through poor conditions growing up in a single-parent household. You have Tiger Woods, who suffered through racism. Grayson Murray and Chris Kirk, who battled alcoholism. Various athletes very open with their own mental health, and it's getting more and more paramount every single year. So again, if you have those issues and you want to seek help and are in serious need of it, 988 is the number to call. Ben, thank you for sharing your side. If you want actually some great insight into what a pro like Ben does go through, I actually interviewed Ben about 2 years ago for a grad school project. More Than a Game on SoundCloud and YouTube. You could just literally Google Ben Pirro and it will pop up. Great story about how Ben battled through his own mental health in college. And if it wasn't for being able to go and see somebody and talk to somebody, Ben very well might not be a pro golfer, which I think is a awe-inspiring story. When like you again, go listen to it. I don't want to have us here talking about it forever, but it really was a great story. So Ben, thank you for sharing that. What you did. We'll add the link in that to the description for the show.
Yeah, Steve. One other thing. Yeah, look. I mean, I can I thought about it today, and I can confidently say it's crazy to even say this out loud. If I didn't get the help that I needed, forget pro golf, I might not even be here today. And I cannot stress enough how important it is to take care of yourself and to look out for those around you. As Stephen said very well earlier, our thoughts and prayers go out to the family, friends, and coaches of Grayson Murray. He's gone, but never forgotten, and he will always be an ambassador to the game, and he will always be one of my favorite players to follow. And I know he's going to be watching over his family, his peers on tour, his friends, his coaches, and obviously, as Steven said before, we do not condone suicide at all. And, we believe that there are, great ways to be able to cope with those thoughts and healthy ways that you can cope with those thoughts. And so, Grayson, we love you. And, you will most certainly be missed.
We had some run-ins with Grayson in the past on social media, but all that aside, just wishing him the best.
Yeah. And I got to be honest, because he and we had mutual friends, and so like I said, I didn't know him personally, but I was like, I wonder if I reach out to Grayson, like, hey, I think we have some mutual friends. You think about it, would you think maybe consider wanting to come on the podcast? And I kind of kicked it around, and I never did. And so, but we lost a great ambassador and a great person, unfortunately. But he's no longer suffering. So
exactly. Only 30 years old, but will never be forgotten. We're going to take a short break. We'll come back. We'll get into more of the topics from this week, including Davis Riley's first individual win at the Charles Schwab Challenge, as well as some other news around the golfing world. For Ben and Steve, we'll be right back.
What's going on, everybody? This episode of the Get in the Hole podcast is brought to you by our friends over at Acorn Hills. And as the great Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, the creation of 1,000 forests is in one acorn. Acorn Hills Company would like to add, it is what one does with that acorn that creates a better tomorrow. To the end of that quote. Nate, amazing guy. It was awesome meeting Nate when we first brought Acorn Hills on board and they got on board with us. The founder of Acorn Hills puts ink to the paper of this story with a vision he saw for a better tomorrow through clothing. As an outdoorsman himself, Nate set out to combine his two passions, looking good and the great outdoors, whatever that activity may be, by providing things such as biodegradable packaging and plantable clothing tags, which, if you haven't heard, are basically the coolest idea ever. We pay homage to our Acorn logo by practicing what we preach. Along with this, Acorn Hills focuses on giving back to its community by taking the initiative to help revitalize forests and areas of land that fill this great place we call Earth. With a percentage of sales donated to charities and organizations such as the National Forest Foundation and others that align with these goals, we create this better tomorrow. People have asked, why choose clothing? It's simple, really. When you look good, you feel good, and when you feel good, you do good. We just help you get there. Although Nate may have been alone when he started this, our roots now run very deep. You'll never look at acorns the same way again, huh? You're welcome. You guys can go to acornhillsco.com. Check out all the awesome apparel and merchandise they have available to you. And when you go to checkout, use code GITH15. That's 15 for 15% off your next order from our friends at Acorn Hills, and look your best from the ground up. Now, let's get back into the episode.
Welcome back in, folks. Again, the whole Stephen Ben here. Before we get going, I do want to give a little bit of a plug. I want to first say we are not sponsored by them. However, I have recently purchased some of their items and really comfy, really, really good. The Happiness Project, you can find them on Instagram at literally Happiness Project. 15% of all their profits go to mental health resources. They have some really cool hoodies, wristbands, and other accessories that you can purchase, all about raising the bar when it comes to discussing more about mental health and getting people more engaged with the topic and being more open to discuss it. Because at the end of the day, it's important to speak up about that whenever you do feel necessary. With that being said, let's segue right into the golf news of the week. Leading off with Davis Riley, his first individual PGA Tour victory. He won the Zurich Classic, bit of a Mickey Mouse win with Nick Hardy. Last year actually was the first instance where both of them earned their first PGA Tour win at a dual event, so kind of interesting. But Davis Riley finally locking it down. Laps the field 5 shots better than Scotty Scheffler. Who would have thought we'd hear a story where Scotty Scheffler was getting beat by 5? Absolutely crazy. A loaded field this week at Colonial, and Davis Riley earns the much-needed victory for the Alabama golf alum.
Yeah, I mean, he's this has probably been, as far as the pure talent that we have been able to witness kind of just come up almost out of nowhere with a lot of these guys. Look, obviously, Davis Riley, he won last year, but as he said, it is a Mickey Mouse win. And because we called Rory McIlroy's win there a Mickey Mouse win, I guess we have to say everyone that's won that event a Mickey Mouse win.
Anyway, 1.5 pro wins is where Davis stands.
Yeah, and we have no problem with Davis at all.
Still more than me, bro.
He's like a very lovely guy for sure. So it seems like a very lovely guy. But anyway, look, I mean, he played fantastic. He played really, really well, and I was actually interested to see how the course, because I said this on the pod last week with KB. They made some renovations to this course, so I was interested to see how it would hold up, because there have been courses. Now, look, they didn't make these renovations to this course in order to host a major championship. But like I said last week, Cog Hill, they used to have the BMW championship there. It's just outside Chicago. This is back when the FedEx Cup playoffs were 4 legs, and they decided to really change up the course. And so they added a lot of bunkers, but it actually really sabotaged the course. And it made the course actually play a lot easier. And even the thought of having a major championship there was completely out of the question after that. So it was interesting. I was interested to see how this course would hold up with these guys with a pretty good field, especially after a major. And I mean, look, man, Davis played great. When you're on one of the more difficult courses to drive the ball well on, when you're 6th in strokes gained off the tee, 2nd in approach to the green, and you're 4th in strokes gained putting, that is a recipe for success. And it's interesting how Xander winning 2 weeks ago and now Davis winning this week, they didn't really blow it away in the scrambling kind of around strokes gained around the greens department. They're very much like, I'm not going to say middle of the pack, but not something you'd expect from a winner. And this just kind of resonates something that I've always said. When you hit the ball as well as Xander did 2 weeks ago and Davis did this past week, your short game, those stats typically will suffer a little bit, but they also don't have to be quite as good when you're hitting as many greens and fairways and greens as these guys. And so, I mean, look, he was tied for 3rd in greens in regulation this week. That's really good. Okay. And he was still top 30 in both scrambling and sand saves. So I think it's safe to say the putter and the ball striking really carried him this week when you look at it just from a strokes gained point of view, I should say. But I mean, well done. I mean, going out there and winning one of really the more historic events on the PGA Tour. Winning it by 5. That's by the way, by far and away the best player in the world, Scotty Scheffler. Well done. That's how you win.
Yeah, no, with being able to finish top 6 in strokes gained putting, and also again the approach play as good as it was, second in the field, only behind David Lipsky, who in comparison in terms of the approach play this week, Riley gaining almost 1.5 strokes on the green, Lipsky losing a half stroke. That's the difference right there, as two guys who are almost dead even on the strokes gained tee to green metric of 10 strokes. Like, and when you put it into perspective, 14 under par is a relatively like middle of the pack score. Not really like it isn't what we usually expect from. I understand Colonial, as historic as it is a challenging golf club, and winners don't typically score that high. But with the way we've been discussing topics of like the rollback and guys being able to overpower courses for a shorter track that's narrow, I'm surprised that 14 under was still the score. Maybe it's the coming off the major hangover. Could very well be, considering he's also the only guy to break double digits on the scorecard. So to be able to play as well as he did, both on approach and putting, just shows shows how good of a golfer he can be. And Davis Riley has been, it's kind of been a rough patch for him, at least over the last, give or take, 2 years. You can even go back to the beginning of the year here. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 missed cuts in, I believe, only 10 events. And outside of a T14 at the Houston Open, has not been able to get his footing very much on the PGA Tour since his win at the Zurich. It's been a very challenging road for him. But to be able to come out and win against some really top-notch players, Scheffler, Bradley, Morikawa, all up there, 9 and 8 under, Straka at 5. This is also a great event too, aside from Davis Riley, to be able to see some new up-and-coming talent. I'm watching it on Friday. I'm watching from the clubhouse Saturday from the clubhouse at Timber, and I'm watching Pearson Cootie play, and I was like, oh my God, this kid's so good. And he's 21 years old. It's like, what the hell's going on? Mac Meissner, again, also only 24 years old, SMU product. These guys are all from Texas, so they understand the Texas landscape very well. But at the same time, to be able to see these young talents play as well as they did, including even like Hayden Buckley, another great newcomer straight from the Q School ranks, the Q School ranks from earlier this year. Really strong event overall, and Davis Riley should hopefully carry this onto bigger and better things. Coming out of college, Davis Riley was regarded as one of the best Alabama golfers ever, behind Justin Thomas. And there's been a relatively good stretch of Alabama grads, not just from football and basketball, but the golf teams have been churning out talent.
No, I mean, it's always been one of the premier programs that you could go to out of high school. It really has. If you go to Alabama as a college golfer, you are a stud, even if you don't really play. So, like, there's all those guys are really, really good. I just wanted to highlight, Colin Morikawa. He's continuing his strong form, I guess you could say. Another top 5 finish for Colin. It was very consistent. A lot of higher. We saw a lot of scores that were higher on that last day, but he still managed to shoot a 268, and so he fired all 4 rounds in the 60s on a narrow par 70 track. Sepp Straka continuing to move up in the FedEx Cup as well. Moved from 25th to 22nd, finishing tied for 5th at 5 under. Keegan Bradley, who he had a pretty good year up to this point, and then in the past couple of years he's kind of had a resurgence to his career. He finished tied for 2nd, so good for Keegan. He's now 26th in FedEx Cup points. Obviously, Scotty is amazing, so we don't really need to talk too much about him. Yeah, and then, some surprising names missed the cut as well, like Bo Hostler, I was a little bit surprised by. Harris English, I was a little bit surprised by. Sam Ryder as well. He hasn't played quite as well this
You
year.
fucking love Sam Ryder.
Dude, Sam Ryder, I hit balls next to Sam Ryder one time for probably 30 minutes. He has no idea who I am, okay? But I was like, yo, that's Sam Ryder. He's the fucking man. Oops. Yeah, I was like, man, this guy, I was in high school and he was on Korn Ferry at the time. It was his last year on Korn Ferry before he was like by far and away one of the best players on Korn Ferry that year. And he was just hitting balls, just one at just insanely good. So yeah, a little bit surprised that by his year so far. And Michael Block missed the cut yet again. Okay, Max Homa though, he only made one birdie in 36 holes, I believe.
Michael Block played this week?
Yeah, he did.
Where was I?
In Florida. Go back to sleep.
Sweat my ass off, dude.
Yeah, no,
sweating buckets, bro. I don't know how you lived down there in the summer. I
never lived down there in the summer.
God bless you.
I know. No, but yeah, Michael Block, he played 72, 74 plus 6. Max Homa, though, I mean, look, he's played much better as the years progressed, but this was very shocking to me. One birdie in 36 holes. That's just, for someone as talented as he is, that was pretty shocking. So, yeah, that's really all I got for you.
Max Homa 78 in the first round. There's a stat that I saw on social media as I try and pull this up really quickly. I think it was like, what was the number? I want to say it was the worst first round score in his career.
I mean, yeah, I could see that.
Like, it was abysmally bad.
I don't know his Korn Ferry career, because I know he missed a lot of cuts at one point when he was on KFT, but since he's been on, I mean, I don't know. By the way, Zach Johnson made the cut, so I'm excited about that.
Here we go. Max Homa tapping in on 18 for a 78, so plus 8 for the day. He lost 7.524 strokes to the field. It finished as the 9th worst round of his career out of 618 and was the worst since the end of 2019. Abysmal putting day for Max Homa, amongst other guys too. A lot of guys just couldn't figure out the Bermuda greens down in Fort Worth. Just didn't seem to fit a lot of their fortes. And one guy who did manage to figure out a lot when it came to the putting surface was Richard Bland. We're shifting away from the PGA Tour, but we're going in to the Championship Tour.
It's the Champions Tour. Oh,
Champions Tour. Sorry. I always say Champions Tour, whatever it is. Have not been able to talk much about the Champions in a long time. I think the last time I talked about it was like when Bernard Langer made the cut at the Masters. So it wasn't even really related to the Champions Tour. But Richard Bland, in his first career Champions start, wins the KitchenAid Senior PGA Championship. However, news recently came out, as of course Bland is the captain of the Cleeks Golf Club, whatever the fuck that is. Turns out that because the PGA Champions Tour is not synonymous with the PGA Tour, they are in fact separate entities. He is ineligible to receive any sort of exemptions to the PGA Tour moving forward, despite a lot of speculation that he was going to get it. So some interesting news coming out of the PGA Tour front. They do not want Richard Bland in their mirrors. Are you like reading into this at all? Is it relevant? Probably not. But
I mean, like I think it's relevant just because, I mean, because he is on LIV, isn't he?
He's the captain of the Cleeks.
So I mean, I guess it's relevant from that perspective, just because this just adds fuel to the fire that will never. That's impossible to extinguish. You and I both said this, and all I really have to say is the whole situation is just completely backwards. And I just roll my eyes at it because he should get into like the PGA Championship maybe next year. Like, wouldn't that normally be like what? So, okay, here's my question: what exactly are the exemptions that one would normally get for winning this event, the event that he won? Do we know? Because a lot of times guys don't really get exemptions from winning events on the Champions Tour. Maybe unless it's a major.
Trying to dig a little bit more into this.
Because like really, like we will see guys from the Champions Tour. We will see them play in majors, but that's because they're past champions. Like, like the Masters. Like that's why like Freddie Couples, Bernard Langer. Like that's why those guys are able to play. I know.
All right, so you do get some exemptions into PGA Tour events. You typically find yourself as an alternate because you don't have the automatic lock-in for it. However, if you do win a major, you do earn an additional 1-year exemption on to the PGA Tour Champion circuit. However, his thing in this case, because he plays most of his time on LIVGolf, if the majority of your playing time is spent on LIV, you are ineligible for it. So he's already logged the majority of his time already on LIV because the season's more than halfway over. So no matter what, he's going to end up playing more for LIV and therefore will not earn his spot. You get exemptions into like smaller events. It isn't anything like crazy. And then like past events that you've won, you get exemptions into as well.
I mean, he's the one that's really laughing because he's the one that's making way more money than anybody on the Champions Tour. And come on, let's call it how it is. Like,
hey, so it's funny. The end of the golf.com article I'm reading here says he says, and I quote, "I don't know how many doors is going to open after his victory. Obviously, I'm not committed to LIV. The good news for Bland, in addition to a $630,000 winner's check for the senior PGA, he's made $9.8 million since joining LIV and has only finished better than 10th twice."
Yeah.
Amazing stuff.
He's making so much money on LIV. Who really cares? Like deep down, I'm sure he's like, yeah, I mean, it would be great to get a couple of exemptions into some bigger events like, maybe like the PGA Championship on the PGA, not on the PGA Tour, but you understand what I'm saying. But
yes,
he's the one laughing all the way to the bank. Like come on.
I'm surprised he played. Oh no. He never played on the PGA Tour. He only played on the European Tour. I'm surprised he only had 3 career wins, which is very interesting.
On the European Tour?
Yeah. Only 3.
Well, I mean, just because you only win like a handful of times doesn't mean that you had a bad career. It's hard. It's hard.
No,
I know you know that. I know you know that, but like, I mean, his name has been around forever, and there's a reason for that. He was, from my understanding, he was definitely one of the more consistent players on the European Tour. Now,
that's what I'm saying. For a top 50 player in the world, I'm surprised only 3 wins in his career. It's actually quite interesting.
It's impressive. It's impressive, like, because that just shows your overall level of consistency is incredibly high.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, there are guys who are top 50 in the world, but like it's because like they get like these random wins, or like they like play well randomly, but they also miss a lot of cuts. Like I can't imagine he missed a lot of cuts. There's no way you can if you were that high up in the world rankings.
Yeah.
The European Tour wins.
No, exactly.
So.
But while Richard Bland might not be getting his exemptions onto the PGA Tour circuit, a new face has. We've seen him a little bit in the circles of the PGA Tour, making some amateur appearances, but now he's officially earned his full-on status. Stanford's Michael Thorbjornsen, officially the second winner of the PGA Tour University rankings, joining Ludvig Åberg as the second player to earn direct access to the PGA Tour straight out of college. For those of you who don't know anything about Michael, he is currently the third-ranked amateur in the world. He has 16 top 10 finishes this year alone across 33 events, including 3 wins. He has wins at the Cabo Collegiate Invitational. He won this year at the Pac-12 Men's Championship and finished, I believe he finished 32nd at the NCAA Division I Championship this week, which actually wrapped up work today. And he finished 4th, I think, at the Travelers last year, if I remember correctly. He played terrific golf. He was so good in that event, but has had plenty of opportunities to make a name for himself. And he's done a pretty damn good job so far in his amateur career playing on pro circuits. Has top 20s at the Hero Dubai Desert Classic, at the John Deere Classic. He finished 17th last year. Has finished top 100 in both of his U.S. Open appearances, as well as, again, yes, that I am confirmed, that top 5 finish at the Travelers last year. So pretty damn good for him. Actually, also finished top 20 at this year's Dubai Desert Classic, so back to back. Some scores are still being determined, so we don't know what the rest is, but at least for how the PGA Tour U is handling things and how they're going to be coming about. Once the final postings are up for the PGA U, the 2nd through 5th place winners or placements will earn direct access into the Korn Ferry Tour. I believe it's 6 through 15 earn it onto the Americas Tour. And I believe the rest all get preferred qualifying into other international tours in order to be able to get their status up. So good luck to everybody who's finishing outplay today. We'll find out more tomorrow, and we'll be able to update you from there. Michael Thorbjornsen, second guy to make it. And, of course, from the prestigious Stanford University, someone else with big-time golf aspirations went there, if you remember correctly. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, Tiger Woods. No? Yes.
I always wanted to go to Stanford, but I was never good enough, and I was never smart enough either. So
I was certainly never smart enough, and I peaked in high school athletically, so I never had a shot either. What was the best school you got into?
The best school? I only really applied to schools that
you were recruited. Yeah.
Yeah. So. I'm trying to remember. Because Furman, I remember I was looking at Furman and Wofford because those were my 2 out of high school, because those were my top 2 that I wanted to go to. And then Presbyterian was my 3rd. And I don't even know if I applied to Furman or Wofford, because the Wofford coach basically screwed me over. I mean, this guy was he no longer coaches the program. Mm-hmm. He was something. And then the Furman coach was just who, by the way, also no longer coaches that program either. It's kind of a dick. So, I met with him, and he met with me for 15 minutes. Not even it was a joke. And so the first go around, it was probably Presbyterian, from what I remember. And then, which still Presbyterian is a good school. It's just so tiny, you're kind of limited with your opportunities going out of there if you're a regular student. And then I was looking at St. John's, Xavier, and Villanova, and I knew I wasn't going to go to Villanova, even though my sister wanted me to go there, because they basically were giving me just the generic scholarship that every single kid gets. Yeah. And I just was and I couldn't even get the head coach. I couldn't even get the head coach on the phone. I kept having to talk to the assistant coach. I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I don't want to talk to you.
That.
And then, I'm pretty sure I got into St. John's, because it came down to St. John's and Xavier. And I know I got into Xavier, obviously, because I got the degree over there on the wall.
Congratulations.
Hell yeah, finance degree, baby. Woo!
Finance degree, and he doesn't even use it.
You know what?
Math.
Here's the thing. Xavier is the best school that I got into because Xavier is the best school.
Like, all right, pick of the litter if you did not. I mean, obviously like Stanford, but if you weren't going to go play college golf, like was there a thought early on in your career that or in your life that you're like, all right, like I want to go to this school?
Oh, I would have, even if I didn't play golf, I would not have gone to I would not have wanted to go to Stanford. Honestly, it would have been Tulane.
Okay.
Because my sister went there, and I remember visiting New Orleans
Good school.
times. No, it's a great school, but it's like I also love New Orleans. And if you're 18 to 22 years old, that is like any male's playground. So I would have been just like, and you're just not going to find this surprising at all. I probably would have been like the most like douchiest frat guy finance bro ever.
Oh,
Just completely yoked every day at the gym. Just an absolute menace to society. That would have been me. That would have
seeing you walking around campus in your Patagonia quarter zip and your button down.
Oh no! It wouldn't have been that. It would have literally been just a tank top and like athletic shorts, just looking completely yoked, just having like my 5th muscle milk of the day, like. Bro. Doing
hey bro, and
really hard before
60-40 female man ratio. Talk about a playground, dude. Mardi Gras pussy nuts up there.
Oh my gosh, that place is. My sister has some stories for sure. So yeah.
2 final things before we get into our beer money picks this week. Not much to discuss on the RBC Canadian Open front. It's very much straight up from exactly what we know last year. You can check out our episode last year to get some insight on it. Thankfully, we're not talking about how Rory McIlroy is the defending champ because our friend Nick Taylor took care of that one last year. If you remember, though, Adam Hadwin got absolutely bodied at this event last year.
That's right.
Which I need to bring this back up because it's still one of the funniest things ever. But before we get into that, Harry Higgs is the first player in Korn Ferry Tour history to go back-to-back wins, both in playoff fashion. Also gave a great speech about Grayson Murray. Didn't know Grayson very much, but had a terrific mental health conversation in his winning speech down in Louisville. But hopefully we see Harry Higgs get back up on the PGA Tour, as obviously working his way back up, hopefully going to earn his status again. Already has 2 wins. All he needs is 1 more to get automatically qualified back up. So we'll see how he does the rest of the year as we go on. But with that being said, the RBC Canadian Open preview, again, nothing much more to be discussed. Relatively stacked field when it comes to the overall landscape of those involved. Canadian Open's been played here at Hamilton Golf and Country Club for, I believe, the last 10 or 15 years. It's been a constant staple. Of course, took a break during COVID and is now back for the foreseeable future. So we're looking forward to seeing what can happen here at the RBC Canadian Open.
Yeah, just one thing on Harry Higgs. Harry, obviously one of the most likable guys on tour. Has just a great personality. Has a lot of fun. I will never forget when he made that putt at TPC Scottsdale on 16. He just lifted his shirt up, just like an absolute maniac, and I love that. Really just like a fun, likable guy. You can tell oh, that's disgusting. Stop.
I have a Harry Higgs body. Shut up. Let me be.
That's fine. I don't need to see it though, and neither do our poor listeners.
Our viewers love it.
Viewers, no, they don't. Anyway, really, just you could tell he really appreciates his job, and that's something that you really love to see. And this is a guy who's really been able to reinvent his game. He lost his card. He went back to Korn Ferry Tour. He holed out 2 weeks ago just to get into the playoff, which is just insane. I mean, can you imagine you hole out, but then you have to go into the playoff and calm yourself down after you just hold out from, I believe, the rough to get into that situation. And he wins in back-to-back weeks. I mean, that is someone who's reinvented their game, who has really taken the bull by the horns, and he's done a fantastic job. We should reach out to him. I think he'd be a really good listen.
I've been trying to get Harry Higgs on. I'm also a big time Eagles fan, so we have that Philly connection that we could always jump into. By the way, I lied to you. It's actually returning to Hamilton. I thought it had been an existing spot. The Canadian Open has actually ran around to a few different courses over its history. Last year it was played at Oakdale Country Club. Now it's back at Hamilton, where actually Rory McIlroy won in 2019. So that might be something to keep an eye out for as we approach this week coming in. But with that being said, let's jump right into our beer money picks as we close out the show as we always do. And of course, our beer money play is sponsored by our friends over at Kenwood Beer, a crisp, light, refreshing beer that is the absolute best amongst its constituents. Some say it's the best light beer they've ever had, but we just say you can't beat the original. Go online to kenwoodbeer.com, find the Kenny tracker, see where you can get your hands on some refreshing, crisp, cool Kenwood beers for summer. As the official beginning of summer, Memorial Day weekend is here, and we trudge on throughout the next few months. You can find them in Maryland, in Philadelphia, in Delaware, and of course now in the great state of New Jersey. Hit them out, kenwoodbeer.com, use the Kenny tracker, and let us know if you could find yourself some Kenwood beer. Top 20 pick out in Canada. Who are you taking?
Okay, so give me a minute. I hate this computer.
This is where it gets fun. We got a lot of plays that we can
What are
with.
What are we at right now in beer money, by the way, so the public knows? So I hopefully don't have to play golf in a dress.
So just so you know, I haven't counted obviously the weeks that one of us have been absent on the show. I'm at 24. You're at 21. You had a really strong PGA championship when we.
That's right, I did.
Played. You had 4 picks right. I had 2. So you gained back some space.
Absolutely. That's just that's what champions do. We make big comebacks. That's what we're doing. Top 20. It's a tough event for me. I was looking at the odds today and I was having a really tough time with it. I'm going to go with a guy who missed the cut last week. This is going to be a get right week for him. Nikolai Hogard.
I did that. Part of me going into this week wanted to take a full Canadian card, which I'm still debating on doing, to be completely honest with you. I want to pull up the odds board quick and see where I'm at with this play, because I feel like he's going to be heavily favored as he is Canadian. And I want to make sure that I am not going to absolutely shaft our viewers with bad picks. So top 20 this week. Wow, actually the board is wide open. That's crazy. Top 20 at plus 125. I'm going really, really, really simple. Corey Connors, the Canadian. We're going to fly high with Corey, top 20. Top 10, what are you taking?
That's such a weak pick. He's like 8th on the odds board. Way up. I'm going to go with Adam. What?
Nothing.
What'd you say?
No, like he's still good plus money.
Fine. I'm going to go with Adam Hadwin for a top 10. He unfortunately just got absolutely clobbered last year on 18. I believe that was him, right? Yeah. So, top 10 for Adam Hadwin.
I'm joining you with Adam Hadwin, top 10.
Yeah.
Golden play. I think Hadwin can actually win this week. I think he's a really, really, really strong live play here. I think any of the Canadians have a really good shot. I even do like Taylor Pendrith here for top 10, but I'll ride the slightly lower odds with Hadwin top 10. Top 5.
All right, top 5. I'm going to go with the guy that I haven't really bet on in the past. You actually mentioned his name about 45 seconds ago. Corey Connors for a top 5 finish.
I'm going to ride with Sam Burns this week. Had a really strong PGA Championship, both on the irons and with the putter. I don't know if we're dealing with Bermuda grass greens. I'm pretty sure we're not because we're up north. No. But I will tell you this: his putting on every surface has been absolutely great. Makes those strong birdies in bunches. I think Sam Burns got a really good shot. He also had some really good showings in previous Canadian Open events, particularly after a strong week at the Charles Schwab, which happened this week. So I do like Sam Burns for a top 5. Your gimme pick this week.
All right, Mike, give me a pick. I'm going to go with a guy who we love to talk about, who does not get enough love. I'm going to go with Tom Kim to finish top 10.
Ooh, I love it.
There's a lot of value there.
There's a lot of value there, and there's a ton of value in the pick that I'm going to give you here. We have not had any time to talk about how good this guy's actually been the entirety of the year. Alex Noren, dating back to like the Cognizant back in February, has not finished below a top 25.
Yeah.
Since the Cognizant. He finished top 20 at the Players, top 15 at the Valero, of course, that historically he's not been good at. Top 3 at the Byron Nelson, 24th at the Wells Fargo. He finished 12th at the PGA. Strong player, valuable player, good player, top 25 for Alex Noren, lock of the century. For a guy who is ridiculously plus 200 on the odds board for that stop, I think it's an absolute steal to be able to get Alex Noren at that kind of money when he hasn't finished worse than that in 3 months. Crazy. Your winner of the RBC Canadian Open this week.
Okay. I'm going to go with Sahith Theegala.
Okay. This is where things get hard. This is where I
swear to God, if you Uno reverse me again, I will lose my mind.
No, I can't do that to you. Mostly because I think it's absolutely ridiculous that Rory McIlroy is plus 390.
Yeah.
And the next best play is Fleetwood at 1,700. Oh my God. All right. I think we're gonna have to do a story on how many times I pick these guys and they just fucking don't win ever.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I already know where you're going with this.
Yeah.
I almost went down this path too.
We're back to the well. He lost to Nick Taylor in the playoff. If you remember Nick Taylor last year, he won the playoff on a 72-foot eagle putt.
Pretty awesome.
Someone didn't like that. And I hope to God he finally wins so I can put this to bed. Tommy Fleetwood to win the RBC Canadian Open.
Yeah, I almost picked him too.
So it's so disgusting how Nick Taylor won that event. Absolutely insanity. I mean, like how could you not give him flowers for that one? But you know what? Like, if you could pick anybody that isn't named Rory McIlroy, you got a pretty damn good shot to make some pretty damn good money. So,
I kind of at this point now, early in the year, to be fair, I did not understand why. I get it, Rory McIlroy, and now he has played better as of late. You know, he did win at the Wells Fargo, which is he's won there now 4 times, and he just loves that golf course. But really, other than that, he really yes, we get it. He won the Zurich. Nobody cares. Not even the two of us. And so I never really understood why he was so high on all the odds boards, considering like he just wasn't playing well. And I get it, you know, he's played better as of late, but the PGA Championship, he had a good opening round and then a decent third round. Other than that, it really wasn't a whole lot to look at. And so I just think, look, like at the site I'm looking at, to be plus 330
is nuts.
That is insanity to me. And I'm not a gambler, but hey, like, what do I know? But I just think that's complete insanity.
I agree with you. And to that point as well, and this will be the last thing I say, if in fact Tommy Fleetwood wins and we end up posting this on social media, because I hope it really happens, that he does it, to kind of give you perspective as to why I think Fleetwood will actually win and why he is your best absolute value here. He's gained strokes off the tee in 6 straight events, which includes the Masters, the PGA Championship, and the Wells Fargo. In those 6 starts, he has 3 top 15s, so he's played incredibly well. I think the other funny part about Tommy Fleetwood that I think people don't really recognize is that his stats on average, where he finishes between playing in America and playing on foreign soil, is like a 15-spot gap. he plays so much better in basically anything that isn't the USA, that if he comes out and he plays really well in Canada, oh my God, like that would be absolutely hilarious.
I see. Okay.
He's a completely different player when in contention outside of the US. It's like actually ridiculous. So I think that at this point he will do really well here. Another bit of a informational thing that actually might help him out is when Fleetwood finished second at Royal Portrush in 2019 and finished top 10 at Royal Liverpool in the Opens in 2023. Martin Ebert, he was the guy who redesigned both of those courses, and he just redesigned Hambledon as well. So Fleetwood has experience playing on his design golf courses. Might be another little piece of the puzzle here that gives you an insight into Fleetwood winning this week, and I really hope it happens at plus 1,700. Great episode, long episode, but you know what? A lot of great topics to be had and hit on. Thank you guys so much for tuning in this week. Getting the whole episode 156. We are nearing episode 200 ever so slightly. Only 40 more episodes to go. We'll probably hit it by the Masters next year. But you know what? We're enjoying it and taking it one episode at a time. For Ben Pirro, I'm Stephen McAvoy. Be sure to follow us on social media at Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and of course on YouTube at Getting the Whole Pod and Underground Sports Philadelphia, Underground PHI. You can find us, like, subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, especially the YouTube, wherever you can get us. Please leave a like, comment, and enjoy. And of course, if you want to get more of that information on the mental health side of golf, I do have an interview with Ben. We will leave in the description below. And if those of you have heard this and want to get some more help with your personal mental health, 988 is the number to call, as well as a bunch of other hotlines and services that are given out by the government and the services that want to be able to help you. So please reach out, talk, share your story, and of course, as two guys who are both very much into listening to hearing what everyone else has to say. We hope you reach out to even us if you have to. So, folks, enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the week this week. Happy belated Memorial Day weekend. It's great to finally be able to hit summer. It was gorgeous this weekend. Enjoy the golf. We'll see you next week. Hopefully, me and Ben can play. Thanks for listening to Get in the Hole, the official golf podcast of Underground Sports Philadelphia. Catch us every week wherever you get your favorite podcasts, and be sure to like and subscribe on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Getting the Whole Pod, and follow Underground Sports Philadelphia at Underground PHI. We'll see you next time. And remember, get in the hole!